What is up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? I'm Guy Wozniak. You're watching the Comic Book Guy channel, and with me, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Matt.
Hey.
We were just at MegaCon 2026 in Orlando recently, and Matt had a really cool experience. You got to sit down with Mr. Jim Zub.
I did. He's the writer for the current Conan series from Titan Comics. And what an absolute treat it was to meet him and sit down with him and talk for a good while.
Before we dive into the video, though, a quick word about the audio quality. This was inside the convention center.
Yes.
It was noisy.
Yes.
Not the best audio quality, but I think, you can get the gist of what's going on.
Yeah, we had to work with what we had.
Yeah. I mean, you guys did good considering you're in this big, huge, packed room. All right, well, without any further ado, here is the interview video with Jim Zub and Matt, and we'll be back at the end to wrap everything up.
Hey, it's Matt, and I'm here with this guy,
hey,
Jim Zub.
It's true. Finally, in person, in the flesh.
Yes, in the flesh. What happened was he commented on one of our videos.
Yeah.
And we're like, nah, this can't be Jim Zub. Does
this guy just lurk around the internet?
Yeah,
What's wrong with this guy?
Somebody posing as Jim Zub. We carefully dissected your comments, and we're like, okay, this guy seems legit.
Kindly Canadian, it might be him.
It is him.
It's true.
So yes, here I am. We contacted him, and he's sitting down.
We're at MegaCon. It's just beginning, which is why we still have our voices.
Yes.
Give it a couple days, and everyone will sound like they gargled with toxic waste.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And broken glass.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to talk about this
guy,
book, Conan.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's a new book. It's the oldest book. Conan's older than Superman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy to be a part of it.
Yeah. Now, is he in public domain at this point?
So depends on what part of the world you're in.
Okay.
And not all the stories, right? So it'll start in America. It'll start entering the public domain January 2028.
Okay.
But again, that's only going to be the first story, which is Phoenix on the Sword, which is from Weird Tales.
Okay.
And then every year, more stories will start entering the public domain.
Right.
But the vision of Conan that we see, that modern interpretation, that's a Frank Frazetta from the 60s painting, right? The original Conan on those Weird Tales covers, he almost looks like a Grecian warrior. Like he's got the dark hair, but he's like this smiling kind of, he looks like something from a Greek kind of myth rather than the character we think of now. That invention, that rugged badass, that's very much a Frank Frazetta vision.
One thing I really noticed is you really seem to capture the art style of the Frank Frazetta.
Thank you. I mean, that is the artist that we have on the team. Like, I'm the writer on it, so we cast really strongly on the new series. So Roberto De La Torre is absolutely brilliant. Doug Braithwaite. Now we've got Fernando Dagnino, Jonas Scharf, just all the artists that we've been working with throughout the series so far.
Yeah.
Ivan Gill, and just like everybody. What's great about it is you have such an incredible legacy of art on the Conan series from decades and decades of some of the best comics ever created. And so when a new artist comes on board, they're carrying that legacy, and I think they feel that weight in a good way, and they want to bring their best.
Yeah, it absolutely has a Frank Frazetta, like a John Buscema vibe.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like I'm reading, we wanted it, Conan books.
Right, we wanted it to feel like the best of the Bronze Age, but with the fidelity and as a mature reader's book that we can bring you in a modern context.
Yeah.
The other thing we wanted was to be able to have, each arc is its own adventure, but if you're reading along the whole way, you get the benefit of seeing these bigger mythic kind of stories moving through, and we're building up something bigger and bigger in the background. With these event books and with Savage Sword that we brought back, the anthology, just all of it. That's kind of, we wanted to take, I mean, in the 70s, there were 3 books that kind of kept Marvel afloat when they were in a bad way. Spider-Man, Star Wars, and Conan.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, most of those Conan readers aren't dead, but they don't feel served by the current comic market. We've got to be able to put an olive branch out there and create something that feels like it's for them, but not just retelling the same stories.
Yeah, you're definitely hitting that mark.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so we want to do stuff that feels new, that feels relevant, that feels exciting, but has enough of those qualities that you also get the nostalgia. But we're not saying to new readers, you're not welcome.
Yeah.
You can step in, volume 1, you're good to go.
Absolutely. That's one thing we noticed, me and Guy. We both read this every month when it comes out. We read it. And a new reader could jump into this at any point.
Yeah.
At any point.
On any new arc, you just jump right in, because that's what makes that series so great, is the fact that those adventures, wherever Conan goes, something amazing is going to happen.
Yeah.
Like the more you know about the Hyborian Age, or you know about Robert E. Howard, you'll be able to appreciate other levels to it. But on a surface level, it's like, oh, this guy's the original sword and sorcery hero. He's the wandering warrior. Wherever he goes, something amazing is going to happen.
Yeah, and you jump around through different points of his life.
You got it. And that's just like the original Weird Tales.
Yeah.
So in Weird Tales magazine, every story, literally the very first Conan story is the Phoenix on the Sword. He's already king of Aquilonia.
Yeah.
The next story, he's a young thief. The next story, he's leading.
Just did a story where he was the king of
That's
Aquilonia.
right. So that story had never been, like, there was a novel that was put together by Elsbrag de Camp called Conan the Liberator, and that showed a version of how he became king.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think we could tie it even more tightly into the original Howard material.
Yeah.
And so we did a new story called The Conquering Crown.
Yes.
It's going to be collected later this summer. And that's what's so fun about it, is being able to, take a really cool seminal moment like that and expand upon it, and then jump back to, he's a young, impetuous thief, doesn't understand the civilized world, and then jump forward to, okay, he's the leader of a band of mercenaries.
So that issue that just came out, it was a couple issues back.
Yep.
Where you have that wandering, the pale wanderer.
Oh, 25. Yeah.
Yes,
The
25.
nomad.
The nomad. And you get to the end of the story.
Yeah.
And he says, he's like this traveling nomad guy. He's, writing his story or whatever. He says, let me tell you the days of high.
Yeah, Prince, the original.
I'm like, I see what you did.
That's right.
I see what you did.
Yeah, that issue was so special. Alex Horley, oil painted.
I'm reading that in the voice of Mako.
That's right.
From Conan.
I had to.
I'm a wizard, mind you.
Yeah, but we had this incredible opportunity. Alex wanted to do a fully painted story for Savage Sword.
Yeah.
And it was going to be like a 12 or a 14 pager.
I saw that. I'm like, what is this?
And we were
This is
like,
amazing.
Alex, what if we did a full issue instead? And he's like, well, how much are we talking about? Like 36 pages. How long would that take you? And he's like, I need that script as soon as humanly possible. Because he was doing covers, he's doing magic cards, he's doing movie concept art. So it took him a year to paint that story.
Wow.
Yeah. So I gave him the script September 2024, and then the issue came out October 2025.
Sitting on that for a while.
Yeah. Well, it was an idea I actually had back when I was doing Conan at Marvel. I wanted to do it. And
well, see, that's what's great about Conan, is it lends itself to those standalone stories.
It does.
You can throw them in there at any point.
Absolutely. And that's what's great, too, is that if I've got an idea that feels like something shorter, great, we'll do it in Savage Sword. If it's something that's part of the ongoing kind of tales, I'll put it in the regular monthly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
Man, well, how did this all happen? How did it come about that you lucked out and got into Conan?
Well, my very first Conan story, this is where it gets weird. My very first professional comic credit is as a colorist. I was working at the Udon Studio 2003, and I got hired that summer at the studio to recolor Conan reprints for Dark Horse. So my first Conan credit is as a colorist. If you buy the Chronicles of Conan Volume 2, I'm listed there under my full name, Jim Zubkovich.
Okay.
But my first writing credit is 2015. Gail Simone was writing Red Sonja, and the two characters write separate publishers, Dynamite and Dark Horse, and they finally negotiated it out to do a crossover miniseries. Gail said, wouldn't it be great to have two writers for this crossover? Jim's a big fan of this stuff, so she contacted me and said...
So you've been a fan of Conan?
Oh, since I was a kid.
Since you were a kid,
And so that was my first time writing.
Same here. I mean, I love Conan.
And for me, it was like, oh, this is my only chance to ever write Conan. And then I got to write him again at Marvel when he came back in 2018. I did that Avengers event, No Road Home, where we ended up depositing him in the Marvel Universe at the end.
Yeah.
And then Jerry Duggan did Savage Avengers.
Yeah.
But Aaron was going to do the regular monthly book. So I'm like, oh, I'll never get to write Conan. Jason does like 4 or 5 year runs on these series.
Yeah.
But he only had a year that he wanted to do. So almost as soon as that book launched, they were looking for another writer.
Really?
And I had pitched a couple done-in-one stories for Savage Sword. And one of them got approved right at the perfect time, where they were starting to look for another writer. And they were like, what about Jim? And Mark Basso, the editor at Marvel, was like, oh, Jim's great. We love Jim. And so they pitched out to me and they said...
you're no fantasy to like fantasy.
Yeah, I've been doing D&D for ages, and Pathfinder, Samurai Jack, all these other fantasy books. But Conan's like the Superman of sword and sorcery.
Yeah.
He's the original dude. He's the guy.
Original badass.
Yeah. And so getting to work on him, getting that offer for the flagship book was crazy. But then almost as soon as it started, we slammed into lockdowns. So I had 2 issues come out, and then everything went haywire. And so the Marvel run, everyone had the best of intentions, but it just got messy because the world was a mess. And so I ended up doing 13 issues total, and then they wrapped up the license and it went on its way. And so I thought, well, that's my last shot. You know, cool thing, but I'm sort of a footnote in the history of Conan, and that's just the way it's going to be. Maybe if there's like an anniversary issue or something, they'll call me up, but I'll never get to do this really on an ongoing basis. And then Fred Malmberg, he's the guy who owns Conan and Heroic Signatures. He said, man, you know, Jim, we really love working with you, and I'm sorry it didn't go as long as we'd hoped. Stay in touch. And you're like, sure, that's what everyone says. Stay in touch.
Yeah. I've been blown up before.
6 or 7 months later, he's like, we're looking at going with Titan, but we're not going to do a licensing deal like we did before. It's going to be, all the creative's going to be done in-house. So we're going to do all the writing, all the art ourselves, and then Titan's going to be our publisher. But it's going to be what we call a competitive pitch or a bake-off. Multiple writers are going to be pitching. Are you interested in throwing your hat in the ring? And I was like, sure, but I'll never get it. Like, I just did it at Marvel. And I told my wife, you know, Fred Malmberg asked me to pitch. She's like, you going to do it? I said, sure, but I'll never get it. And she goes, well, you won't with an attitude like that. She was really like, you love this thing. Like, what have you got to lose? Pitch your heart out. Pitch the ultimate version of what you would do for the book. And lo and behold, from what I know, I think there were 9 writers who pitched. And I managed to keep the diamond. And I got to relaunch the book in 2023.
That's awesome.
And so I was in touch with Roberto De La Torre already. He and I were talking about maybe doing another fantasy book project because I loved his artwork. And then they said, here's the steering wheel, you know, come back to Conan. And I said, I want Rob. And then Doug Braithwaite was on to do some covers for us. And Doug's a legend. And we were like, do you want to do a story arc? And so we got Doug on board. And then once Doug kind of we got our fingernails in him, we were like, man, you were born for this.
And I got to say, it just seems like the stars have aligned.
It does feel like it.
Know, it
really I feel so fortunate.
Like everybody was in the right place at the right time.
And you know, for me, because it was such a unique opportunity, like no one gets to write an icon. No one gets to do it twice. No one gets to make the second one a hit. Like, I feel so.
This is absolutely a hit.
It feels like I won the lottery.
Nobody says anything but great things about Conan.
But so for me, the good thing was we had a gap before we were going to relaunch, so I had some time to really, really do the research. I went back and read all the original Conan stories. I read the best of the comics.
You know, I wish more people would do that.
Yeah, well, I wanted to marinate in it and be like.
Some people just they like characters. They just don't seem to know anything about their background. Or their
I have to. I always do a lot of research, but in this case, I was really able to, just like I said, soak in it and kind of go, okay, look, this character has been around for almost 100 years. 50 years in comics. Why?
You were reading it as a kid yourself, like I was, you know. Like
but now looking at it through that different lens of going, okay, what I think there were a lot of writers in Weird Tales, but 3 of them stand out, right? Clark Ashton Smith, H.P. Lovecraft, and Robert E. Howard. Those are the pillars that made that magazine so special. So I reread the Howard stuff, and I realized immediately, like it was obvious, the lyricism and the language that he uses is so powerful. If you read those original short stories, they are so powerful. And because it's pulp, they're short. These are like 10,000 words, and it's a complete adventure, and you hit the ground running, and there's no fat on it. It's just badass action and incredible atmosphere and this feeling of just epic adventure. And I was like, okay, that's what Roy Thomas was channeling in his narration. That's what Kurt Busiek was channeling. That's what Tim Truman's channeling. These are the guys, when it works, this is what it sounds like. The words that are being used are like a thunderclap. Like it's not just, there's no sound effects. If you look at most Conan comic books, they actually don't have slash. They don't have boom and crash.
Zwing and
No, it's all about the narration in those panels. So when they discuss the coppery smell of blood in the air or the tinge of metal, you know, as lightning clashes across steel, that's the stuff that makes it sound like Conan. Like it's almost like we slow down the combat for this poetic, epic poetry. And so I was like, I have to find that and I can't just copy word for word from Robert E. Howard. I have to find that vocabulary in myself.
Tone,
style. And the more I do of it, the more it's starting to come more naturally. The best compliment I ever get on the book is people go, man, you were born to write this. And I go, look, my drafts say otherwise, But if it reads that way, if it feels right, then we got there. And the more I do of it, the easier, the more I can feel. I know when the lightning's crackling on the keyboard, and I go, yeah, that's the line. And there's other times where I know, okay, I got to workshop that more. It's not, we're getting there, but it's not quite the sound. It's not quite the right words, you know?
Because this, I'll pick up a new issue, and it's just got the exact same feeling. Like I'm reading, something from the 70s.
Right.
From the 80s.
And it should feel timeless. If it felt contemporary, then we're doing it wrong. That's key for me. It's got to have that voice. Conan's got to sound like Conan. He doesn't sound like me. He sounds like the character. He sounds like Robert E. Howard's character.
Captured just the soul of the character.
Thank you. It means a lot. Seriously.
It's Conan's in great hands.
Thank you.
As long as you're at the helm.
The more I get to meet fans, and now we're in 11 languages, so I'm meeting fans from all over the world. I'm getting to travel and
it's resonating.
Do the thing.
People.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And when they say to me, they're like, guys who are old enough to be my dad come over, hearty handshakes, and they say like, when I read your book, I feel like I'm 15 again. Like that is precious. That is something really special. And I never, ever, ever want to take that for granted.
Keep that comic off the spinner rack,
no.
Like the shelf at 7-Eleven,
It's beautiful, man. It's like,
the street.
It's the best feeling to know that you're recapturing something special to somebody. And it's a new story. It's not an adaptation. We're trying to channel the best of that, but also be able to surprise you month after month. Like issue 29 just came out a few weeks ago, and there's no Conan in that story. We introduce a new villain. We do his origin story, and at the very end, you find out, oh, he's an assassin who's been assigned. Conan is his next target, and we just built him up into this incredible badass. Oh man, this is going to be a clash for the ages. Great. Can't wait for you to read 30. Here we go.
Right.
That's the job.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, we're having the time of our lives. So 12 issues a year of the regular monthly. We do an event mini-series every fall. So the first one was Battle of the Blackstone. Second one is Scourge of the Serpent. We did last fall. This fall, we got a new free comic book day book and a new event called Tides of the Tyrant King. It's the return of Thulsa Doom, the ancient necromancer from Atlantis. And we're having the time of our lives.
James Earl Jones from the Conan movie.
That's right. And Jesus Marino is the artist on the new miniseries. And that guy, he's a phenomenal artist. I'm a huge fan of his stuff. He came to us and essentially was like, I need to do Conan. I grew up on this stuff. And that's the thing, always that story. The artists are like, this is part of my youth. I want to bring my best to the page.
Yeah, you can tell, absolutely. You can feel it when you're reading the story.
The passion.
In the writing, exactly, the passion. Like, the people that are part of this actually care about this character.
Deeply. And that doesn't mean
they want to see
that doesn't mean I'm going to use kid gloves. I got to kick his ass. I got to make it really hard because the character is worthy of a challenge. But how can I keep that vibrant? How can I keep it exciting?
And I tell you, it absolutely, so as a reader like me, it comes across as like you actually, the people involved care.
I can't
and they give
stop thinking about it. We get on a Zoom call with editorial.
Shows in your work.
Thank
you.
We get on a Zoom call with editorial, and every time I finish one of those calls, I'm like, energized. We're just so excited for the future. We're excited for what's coming next, or my editor's showing me upcoming variant covers, or we're talking about future solicits. Because I know I'm going to be on the book, I'm signed on until issue 50, which is going to be end of 2027. So we can build out that plan, whatever metaphor you want to use. I've got a runway and we're going to land it. Like, we know what we're doing and why. And so I'm not afraid of getting cut off at the knees. I can foreshadow something and then pay it off. I can build in little subtleties and then have it come back around. I can do a fun little self-contained kind of side story and then tie it back into the big thing and not be afraid like, oops, you got canceled.
And bring back characters. You introduce 12 issues back and here they are again.
Well, in the very first issue, we had like a flashback of Conan carrying this bear on his shoulders when he was younger, and we talk about this great hunt. Issue 13, we show that hunt in different context for it. So literally a year later, we fill in that gap. And that was always the plan. It was just like, okay, having the confidence to be able to architect it out and work with other people who are just as passionate or even more passionate about it. And every time we talk, we energize each other and the fans energize us. Whenever it comes out in a new language, we get fan mail from wherever, Portuguese readers or Spanish or French or German, and they're getting the stories from 6-8 months ago. and we get this just surge of excitement.
Well, I mean, Conan is a character that's he's universal.
He's global.
Yeah, he's global.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
He's arguably the most recognizable sword and sorcery character on Earth. Like, people know the hobbits, but if you ask my grandmother the individual hobbits' names, she wouldn't know them. She might know, like, oh, the Queen of Dragons from, Game of Thrones, but she doesn't know the names of the characters. Yeah. Everyone knows Conan.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's one of those characters that he's like a Batman, he's like a Superman, like everybody knows it. Yeah. When you talk to people and you say, oh, I'm a writer. Oh, that's cool. Anything I might have heard of? And you say Conan the Barbarian, people's eyes light up, man. Yeah. They will tell you their memories. They will tell you about going to see the Arnold movie. Yeah. They'll tell you about the video games or watching the cartoon, or like every generation's got their Conan. Mm-hmm. This generation is video games. Conan Exiles or Age of Conan. Yeah. Like, there's more video game content on YouTube of Conan than there is.
And now the Conan series from Titan.
And now the comic book stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, hey, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
It's my pleasure. I'm so glad you came by.
Super awesome. I'm a huge fan of the book.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. I mean, what more can I say?
We cannot stop. And the great thing is like, because readers and retailers supported us, now we've got that momentum. And a lot of those older fans that I think were calcified and were like, it'll never be as good as it was. Yeah. We finally broken through to them, and they check it out, and they're back in the comic shop.
I didn't jump on this right away. I missed like the first 5 issues.
Sure.
So I had to buy the first 5.
Yeah.
Well, I picked up the 5th. I'm like, oh,
here we go.
Damn.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, it's such a great feeling. And what I love is being at a con like this, and people will come by and they see my display and they're like, wait, are these reprints? And you're like, no. That's the best feeling. Yeah.
You could pick up like a Conan book, like this, right here.
Sure.
And this is probably a collection of the old stuff. No. This is brand new. But it has such the feeling and the vibe of the old series. I mean, you wouldn't know.
And what's fun is we've got older artists coming back to show us they still got it. And we've got new artists who've always wanted to work on the series, pouring their hearts out into it. Yeah. And the more it goes, now I get more, we get cover artists and people. Greg Staples contacted us out of the blue, and he's like, I would love to do a Conan cover. I'm just like, Mr. Staples, I'm a gargantuan fan of yours.
That's gotta be
like, we have to make this happen. And that's one of the things that's been a real joy. Yeah. Dave Dorman or Joe Gisco or like any of these guys coming out of the woodwork.
These old school guys.
Just like, hey, stuff I grew up on. Yeah. And now we're on an email thread together, and like, I'm art directing or like giving them feedback. And my feedback is, thank you for doing a cover. Like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You're king already, man. It's the best.
That's awesome. But
the future is bright.
It is.
Things are awesome.
This is cool. This is really just a continuation of what made Conan great back in the day.
And we've got the wind at our backs and many more adventures to come.
All right. Well, hey.
Sir.
Thanks for meeting with me.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
All the best.
Keep it up.
Thank you for reading.
All right, that was our interview with Jim Zub. And first of all, again, thanks to Jim for sitting down with Matt. And of course, thanks for Matt. You were at MegaCon getting your photos, getting your autographs, getting everything, and you took the time to sit down with him. That was an awesome interview.
Yeah, it was a real treat to speak to him. So I even dressed for the occasion. I don't know if anybody knows, I was wearing like a tie and everything. I wanted to look very professional, while I was doing my interview.
Yeah, no, it turned out great.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, all right, well, let us know in the comments down below. What did you think of the interview with Jim Zub? Do you read Conan the Barbarian? And if you don't, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, you need to be.
Get on that book.
That series is great.
Yeah, one of our favorites. Both of us get it on the monthly poll. And we'll wrap this one up. And as always, we will say, keep collecting comics. Keep supporting your local comic book stores if you got one. Keep watching our videos. And of course, until the next one, bye now.
Bye.